From the West Virginia Department of Transportation's Communications Office, this is WV on the Dot, a bi-monthly informational program highlighting the people, planning, and progress that keep our state moving. Each episode takes you behind the scenes of West Virginia's transportation network, from highways and bridges to transit, rail, and aviation. Thanks for joining us. Hey, welcome to WV on the Dot. It's a reimagined podcast coming out of the West Virginia Department of Transportation's Communications Office. That theme song actually was written by our own Rusty Marks. That's an original.
This is true.
And
recorded and produced by Luke Creasy.
True.
Luke Creasy on the other end of that. Everybody had, if we were doing a video, Troy Morgan would be shooting the music video. There would be
he would be the editor.
There would be elements of all kind, but it's a great little ditty, and we're glad that that it belongs to us. So every month, we hope for twice a month. We like to bring you guests from around the industry, the transportation industry, and certainly internally within the Department of Transportation, talking all things West Virginia transportation. This morning, wow, what a treat for us as we get to once again bring to the table Jonathan Schaefer. He's our liaison with the legislature. He works on economic development projects. He's got a list of about 5 working titles, but we'll let him talk about that. Thanks for being with us, Jonathan.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
We had some legislative wins. Recently, Governor Morrissey had come to one of our industry partners, large bridge contractor, Triton, and he wanted to talk about some of our legislative measures and also another highlight. But let's talk about the focus on safety in this particular session, especially as it relates to Senate Bill 692. That was an important bill for us.
Yeah, 692, that authorized DOH to use green flashing lights on our heavy equipment and our maintenance vehicles. It's not exclusively utilized just for the maintenance vehicles. We can use it throughout our fleet as we see fit. But there were academic studies from, I saw 3 or 4 Midwestern schools, large universities that did the research on this. And I got involved in this about 18 months ago.
It took that long.
It took that long to put everything together and triangulate the studies and look at the efficacy of these lights. And it was really profound, the result. The combination of green and amber was just empirically more visible, especially during whiteout snow events. And overall, it just contributes to the safety of our workforce and our contracting partners, construction partners. Safety is what it's all about.
Shane Hudnall, our safety officer, was talking about this the other day. He actually saw these in action in a trip to Ohio during a snowstorm, and he remarked here on this show, we got to have those.
Yeah, it's really neat. When you come up behind, I did see it in a snowstorm as well, and it was in Ohio. They passed the legislation, I believe, a year before we did, and the results were just awesome. I mean, you can see them so much, the distance, the visible distance, the sight distance increases with that combination of green and amber. Everybody's used to seeing amber on the sides of the road, and that green just provides that delineation. This is a maintenance vehicle. It's working on the road. Stay in the other lanes.
The another bill from a safety standpoint, really, it helps a lot of people, but it was really one of our industry partner bills. It was so that contractors and our workers can feel safer on working on the roads. By the way, our work zone, these people are working feet from moving traffic.
Sometimes inches. And so the legislature gave us a little teeth in terms of
increasing fines for speeding through a work zone while workers are there. And that's just so important. We're just coming off of Work Zone Safety Month, week, day. Secretary Rumbaugh would like to say it's a mindset and a commitment to Work Zone Safety year round. But talk about those increased fines as well.
Well, I'm obviously I love that bill because if our part in this as motorists is just to slow down, go the speed limit. We're not asking you to go any slower than 55 miles per hour in most of these work zones. It's just a really simple measure, and it saves lives.
Yeah.
When you read the data, when you read the crash statistics in work zones, they are so overwhelmingly, they're speed related.
Right.
And it just seems so simple. Go the speed limit. So
doesn't it seem simple? It
does.
But yet, just our poor folks in Maryland, they had just recently 2 fatalities in a work zone already after everybody in the country is coming off Work Zone Safety Week, or at least acknowledging that, and we've already had that. The other thing, increased speed, is distractions.
Right.
Distracted driving. And, we in the business just don't get it.
There were 800 crashes last year in work zones in West Virginia. 5 people died.
It's tragic.
Yeah, it is, and it's 100% preventable. But we now have the legislature's now given us a couple of things that law enforcement can use for vehicles traveling through. It's just this simple. Just slow down and stay off your phone. How about a couple of more bills that were really important to the Department of Transportation?
Right. House Bill 4007, that increased the available funding to the Industrial Access Roads Fund. That fund was created by the legislature in a previous session, and this year the governor has focused so much on bringing new business into the state that this provides, if the access road to the industrial site is a problem, this shows the state's commitment to facilitating that. It's just a small part that goes a long way when you're bringing new industry into this.
Well, that's interesting. You talk about the industrial access road bill, because one of your working titles, of course, is in the economic development realm. And so tie that together. What kinds of things are you working with our development office partners? Talk about that working title.
So, yeah, you're right. It was really interesting timing that I came into the economic development role with this legislation. I got to follow it. I got to track it. I got to listen to conversation on it. And when I saw that, okay, we can increase the amount of available funding and just promote the development in the state. What I look at primarily is the access to our state road network and how the industry ties in, the permitting, and so on. So it's a lot of directing traffic and disseminating information, but it's really neat to be on the ground level of some of this investment that's going on in our state.
Well, it is important, and certainly they have to have nice roads, easy egress, ingress, and so it does. We've got to help connect those dots.
Right, and we're looking at ROI. So with this increase in funding, every project is evaluated. What is this going to return? How are we going to see a return on our investment as a state?
Yeah. But also, I think we want to mention the additional supplemental investment into our infrastructure, our road system. Governor Morrissey and the legislature had authorized an additional $125 million. And I think it'll help in our core maintenance program. It's no secret. We had a tough winter.
This $125 million in supplemental funding, mainly what it'll do is it'll help us pave a lot of secondary roads that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get to because we're concentrated on the big main routes.
Yeah. Jonathan, before we let you go, let's talk about anything on the horizon. You talk about your economic development liaison title. Your legislative liaison title. But, excuse me, you are, I think, the guy in that front office that really ties everything together. You've got your finger in everything.
It's busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's really great to just see the different components of our industry, the transportation industry.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being involved in all of it.
Well, we're glad you're there, and we're glad you're here with us on WV on the Dot. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We still have a full show for you, so stay tuned.
I'm Rusty Marks, and welcome to Around the Dot, our bi-weekly roundup of transportation news from around the WVDOT. On Tuesday, April 28th, Governor Patrick Morrisey held a bill signing ceremony in St. Albans to celebrate the passage of 2 bills intended to increase safety for state highway workers and our contracting partners, plus a supplemental funding to help pay for road work. Senate Bill 692 authorizes the use of green flashing lights on WVDOT vehicles. Research has shown that green lights grab the attention of drivers and are far more visible in snow and bad weather than the familiar white and amber lights currently in use. House Bill 4538 triples fines in work zones for drivers going more than 15 miles per hour over the posted work zone speed limit. The law is intended to deter speeding and distracted driving, the leading causes in the 800 crashes in West Virginia work zones last year. Morrisey also celebrated a supplemental budget appropriation approved by the West Virginia legislature, which gives the WVDOT an extra $125 million. The extra funding will pay for maintenance and help pave a number of secondary roads that would not otherwise be paved under current funding. Also Monday, April 20th through Friday, April 24th, was National Work Zone Awareness Week, when DOTs all over the country highlight the importance of work zone safety. On Wednesday, April 22nd, the WVDOH celebrated National Go Orange Day with a press conference in Charleston. Workers in all 10 highway districts dressed up in orange livery to highlight the importance of paying attention in work zones. And on Friday, April 24th, the WVDOT held a memorial service at the Fallen Worker Memorial in Williamstown. 58 WVDOT workers had been killed on the job over the years. David Bland, brother of former WVDOH worker Randy Bland, remembered the day his brother was killed on the job in 2015.
On June 11th, 2015, I received a call from my brother Randy Bland's phone. When I answered the phone, the voice on the other end wasn't Randy's. It was his friend Mikey. And Mikey says, Dave, you need to contact your family. Your brother's been in an accident. His legs are in bad shape. You probably need to get to the hospital as soon as you can. So I got a hold of the family, and we made it to the hospital. When we got there, they wouldn't let any of us go back to see Randy. We kept asking him if we could see him at the hospital, and they kept saying that we could see him after they got his bleeding under control. While waiting, someone from the hospital just came out and said that he didn't make it.
For the WVDOT, work zone safety is not something to be discussed during a day or a week. It's top of the mind each day, every day, 365 days a year. So please put those phones down and pay attention in work zones. And that does it for this edition of Around the Dot.
All right, it is time to venture into the digital wilderness for a segment we like to call Don't Read the Comments. Luke Creasy here with Rusty Marks, and they say all roads lead home, or to Rome in some cases, but in this case, they all lead to the comment section. Today, we are looking at some of the local favorites. So pull up a chair. We've done the reading, so you don't have to. Let's get to work. And we are starting off strong here, Rusty, with Scott Crow's suggestion to have a pothole crew in every county across the Mountain State, which isn't a bad idea, and almost like we've already done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like we do that. How strange.
Yeah, we do have crews in all 55 counties.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah, and so he specifically suggested hot patch crews, but there's all kinds of paving and pothole patching going on across the entire state of West Virginia. So, Scott, don't worry. I think we've got you covered there.
Yes. There are crews. Trust us.
Next up is Ethel, who suggests flashing red lights on stop signs because flaggers in the shade are hard to see.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
It's not a bad suggestion, but typically if we have flaggers out, there's a lot more going on there than just a guy standing there.
Yeah. I think we did look into getting stop signs with little flashy lights around them, but I think they were too expensive or something. It has been discussed.
Because and the amount that we would need, because we have a lot of flaggers again.
We have a lot of flashers.
This goes back to Scott, who wants work in all 55 counties. Well, in the famous words of Brent Walker from the first ever segment of Don't Read the Comments, Scott's going to get it.
Yeah.
I love when
this is completely unrehearsed.
Hey,
you probably can't tell that.
That is the best way. But that comment about the flashing lights on the stop sign is a great segue into the next one, which comes from Sandra, and she might be onto something also after taking notice of a nice flashy green bow tie worn by our own Secretary of Transportation, Todd Rumball. That was from a post about the Go Orange Day press conference that we did. She said if the orange vest doesn't work, that bow tie ought to show up nicely.
That was a fashionable bow tie, I must say.
He always comes in strong with the bow tie game, but that one specifically was good on multiple fronts. One, it fit the vibe of the entire event. We're celebrating work zone safety, but also flashing green lights. So if the orange or amber lights don't work,
right,
there's always green.
We now have permission to use flashy green lights on our vehicles. And thank you, West Virginia Legislature.
Coming to a fleet near you. And we heard Jonathan Schaefer talk earlier in the podcast episode about those green lights, and they really do help visibility.
They really do. It's amazing.
So keep an eye out for blinking red lights, blinking orange lights, bow ties, maybe even some green lights flashing out there.
I try to stay away from the flashing blue lights. You don't want those.
I think we all do. But if you speed in work zones,
your fines are tripled.
And you're going to see some blue lights to go along with it. But we will trek on here on Don't Read the Comments, moving now to a piece of feedback from Ernie. And Ernie has a vision for the future of our signage along Interstate 77, officially renaming it the H&H Highway. Any idea what H&H stands for?
I do not.
Holes and humps.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, you and I just drove that highway a couple of weeks ago.
There are a lot of spots that we are either working on or still on the list to be worked on as far as paving and patching goes.
We are working on that road, that pavement up there. Some of it's 25, 30 years old. We are actively doing paving and things on Interstate 77.
Yeah, and we were talking to Secretary Rumball this morning just about how much work there is along that stretch of road, but we can't work on the entire road. I guess we could work on the entire road at one time and shut it down, but nobody wants to drive through a work zone that long, so we split it up where we can.
Right. So you're driving through 6 little ones instead of one 40-mile-long work zone, which would be kind of a pain.
I think there is a stretch that's like 20 miles-ish. That's on 79.
That's another whole other story. I live on 79, so that's...
Yeah.
Yes.
Ernie's familiar with 77. You're familiar with 79. I drive both of them occasionally. But a lot of work going on out there, really across the state. And just an evergreen reminder that when you see those flashing amber, green lights, to keep an extra eye out for what's going on around, because work zones can be some of the most dangerous places on the road, especially when it comes to some of our workers and contractors.
We want everybody to go home at the end of the day, including the drivers. And
I don't think we're renaming I-77 anytime soon. I do appreciate the suggestion, and I know that our supervisor, Brent Walker, would love the alliteration.
Oh, he loves alliteration.
And that. But I think that we might have some trouble getting that pushed through.
Yeah, a little alliteration.
A little.
Say that 3 times fast.
I cannot, and I'm not going to do it on a hot mic. But, we're always open to suggestions.
Any kind of suggestion. I guess that brings us to the end of another edition of Don't Read the Comments. Whether you're just out there speaking into the void or have a really great idea that may or may not be possible, we love hearing from you.
But remember, behind... I don't even know if I can say this with a straight... Let's try that again. Until next time, keep your eye on the road, your hands on the wheel, and for heaven's sake, don't read the comments.
Don't.
It never
doesn't work out.
Ends well. We'll be right back to the show after this. It's about that time of year when people around the Mountain State are buzzing about ramps. But today we're not talking about the kind you eat, but the kind that you drive on. Now, when you're driving through the Mountain State, it can be a beautiful scene. But sometimes those hills can be unforgiving, especially if you're in a semi-truck. And for those drivers, it's a constant battle against gravity and heat when you're navigating those slopes. And today we're looking at the ultimate failsafe on the highway, the runaway truck ramp. Now, when things go wrong on these downhill grades, something called brake fade can happen on these trucks. And that's when a heavy vehicle uses its brakes too much on a steep decline, and that friction increases the heat tremendously, eventually causing those brakes to fail. And at that point, the driver is piloting a multi-ton projectile with no way to stop. That's where the ramp comes in. These aren't just extra lanes you see on the roads. They are engineered exit points designed to do one thing: absorb the kinetic energy of the truck and bring it to a safe and controlled stop. Now, there are 3 types of these runaway truck ramps that you'll see out there on the roads. There are gravity ramps, which are built on a steep uphill slope to let physics do the work. There are arrestor beds filled with deep, loose gravel that creates massive rolling resistance and drags the truck to a halt. And in rare cases, there are mechanical drags, which use a cable system to catch the vehicle. Now, the 2 types we have in West Virginia are the gravity and arrestor beds. Now that we've gone over the basics, let's go over your role in this scenario. Now, while the standard passenger vehicle won't be using these runaway truck ramps, there is some responsibility and safety actions that you can take to be prepared in case you're driving around a vehicle that might need to use it. never block the entrance. Under any circumstance, park your car or stop your car in front or inside of a truck ramp. To a driver with no brakes, that ramp is their only lifeline. You should also give them space. A truck on a mountain grade needs twice the following distance. If you see smoke coming from their wheels, or they're picking up speed rapidly, it's probably smart to move over and try and get out of their way. And don't cut them off. Trucks use engine braking to manage speed, and if you merge too closely in front of them, you force them to use the service brakes, contributing to the very overheating that causes these drivers to have to use the runaway truck ramps. These ramps are a testament to smart engineering, but they work best when we stay out of their way. Respect the grade, respect the heavy haulers, and let's make sure everyone gets to the bottom of those mountains safely. And now back to the show. Are we going back to the show? I don't know what comes next. This may be the end.
On behalf of the West Virginia Department of Transportation, thanks for listening to WV on the Dot. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you on the next episode.
The West Virginia Department of Transportation is committed to ensuring that all digital communications, including podcasts, are accessible to individuals with disabilities. The WVDOT will make every reasonable effort to ensure that podcast content is accompanied by accessible transcripts and that video content includes accurate captions. For questions or concerns, please contact WVDOT Communications at wv.gov.